It's a 2004 Ford Expedition. It's the Eddie Bauer package. It's got the power pedals. And for those of you watching this video, the reason you're watching it is because the pedals do this. Yeah, they only adjust that 3/8 of an inch. That's the dreaded broken gear. And that gear is right behind this housing right here. And people will tell you several things about it. If you look at some other videos how to fix it, they'll say, well, just take this cover off and remove the drive, and then your gas pedal will adjust, and you can adjust this manually. Just turn the knob and adjust it manually. Well, that's not really a fix. We're going to go ahead and fix this one today. We're going to replace the pedal assembly. So there's the culprit. That's what causes the problem. Not a real great design. Got a plastic gear, nylon gear pressed onto a metal shaft. And what happens is that gear cracks, as you can see right there. And then as the drive tries to turn that worm gear, which in turn rotates this gear, every time the worm gear hits that crack, it'll stop. So you get one full rotation. It hits the crack, you move the adjuster the other direction, one rotation the other way, hits that crack and stops. So that's what causes that 3/8 of an inch travel, and that's why we have to replace that this assembly that includes that gear. So this is the pedal assembly. There's the part number. You can search for that online. Several places that sell it. It's under $200, $150 to $200. This one in particular came from AutoNation Ford in Minnesota. I like them because one of the things that they do is you put in the part number and your VIN, and they will double check it and make sure that it's the right one for your truck. There's a couple different part numbers for these adjustable pedals and in the Ford light trucks, but this one is for the 2004 Ford Expedition. Here's the adjustable brake pedal assembly. It comes with that lovely bracket. And again, the reason we're replacing it is because this shaft right here, there's a gear on that shaft. That's what moves this adjustment back and forth. And the gear that's pressed onto that shaft underneath this cover is cracked. It'll only turn one turn, and that's why the pedals won't adjust. Now the trick here is that if you are to replace this entire assembly with this mounting bracket, the procedure to do that requires removing the steering column and getting a lot of stuff out of the way just to replace this. So you got two options. You can order this new assembly and you take it apart here and replace this gear. That seems like a lot of extra work. Or the quick trick that we're going to do here is there's one bolt, one nut through this section here that holds this piece to that mounting bracket. So really, there's no reason to take that entire mounting bracket out of the truck. We're just going to take that bolt out and just replace this assembly, not the mounting bracket. That makes this job a lot easier, a lot faster. That's the way we're going to do it. So to get this one out of the truck, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the brake linkage right here. We're going to pop that clip off, and that bracket's just going to slide off. See if we can't do that real quick. Alright. There you go. That linkage is free now. So we're good on that. Okay, with that bracket off there, right there, you can now swing this pedal back and see the next thing we're going to have to do is going to pull that snap ring off a retainer to move that cable up. So I'm going to pry that off there. I'm just going to take this this little flat blade here, pry that off. Probably going to take two hands, so I'm not going to be able to film that part, but at any rate, you just pop that off and that cable comes out of it. Alright, there we go. We popped that off. Just take it off the rest of the way there. You can see it's actually kind of a rectangular shaped clip that goes over a round shaft. So what happens, you pry on the front side, you'll pop this side off and then push it, and you'll be able to pop that back side off. But just be aware that you're popping off one side at a time. They're not gonna both come off at the same time. So now we've got that out of the way, and the only thing we've got left is that bolt that runs through up there. So get some wrenches on that and get that piece off. You have to take that bolt off. Nut is on the back side up there, and we should be able to get our wrench on that, and we'll spin that right. Okay, we're going to get in here with our wrenches. I don't know if you'll be able to see it with my hand in the way there. We finished taking that bolt out. See, bracket's still in there, and I'll tell you what, taking that bracket out would have been a royal pain in the tail. So we would have had to take all that out. So we're just leaving that bracket in. We'll go get the new assembly. Slide the bolt through that hole through the assembly, put the nut on this side over here, hook that linkage back up, hook that gear drive up, and we will be done with this project. So here's the new one, and there's the bolt, nut and bolt that we're going to take off, and it's a 10 millimeter on the bolt. It's a 13 millimeter on the nut, so we're just going to pull that off. Okay, now that we got the nut off, we're going to go ahead and pull that bolt out. You can see there's this spring, that's what gives you the return on your brake pedal. It's not much pressure on that. I'm just going to go ahead and release that to make it a little easier to get that bolt out. And we're just going to go ahead and press that bolt on out. Take it on out, and that's all there is to that. That assembly is free now, so we can just go ahead and pull that whole assembly out of there. That's all there is to removing that. Okay, so here's the new assembly, and we've taken that that bolt out. Goes through the assembly, obviously, not on the other side. Got our return spring here, and that's the assembly. We're gonna go ahead and put that back up in there, put our gear drive in there, and hook the brake linkage up to that shaft, and then we'll be done. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and fidget around about getting this up in there and getting our bolt through. So got to make sure we wrap this spring back down. Have our bolt handy so we can put it through there. So get everything up in place. Pull that spring down. Slide that up around like that. Get that thing lined up. See if we can't get our bolts started through there. There we go, got it through the first side. Okay, we got our bolt through and tightened up. Don't forget you want to get that spring pulled back over. There we go. Then we're gonna put this linkage back on. Remember, you got this spacer that goes on that, so, or collar, I guess, whatever you want to call it. Slide that on. Got our gear drive linkage over here. Want to start that down in there. We're just about wrapped up. Okay, when you're putting this linkage back on, you know, I've got the collar over the shaft there, and this, you can see it's got a groove or an opening on one side. You slide that up, and then this goes over the end of the shaft, and then our cotter pin goes in. I'll try and do that with one hand. We'll see here. Not sure if you can see anything anyway with my hand in the way, but slides over the shaft, lined up, goes in there, and our pin goes back through that, just like that. That buddy is done. See what we got. And there's your adjustable pedals working the way that they should. I can tell you that bolt's a little difficult to get the nut on. I mean, it's not really a problem, but taking that whole bracket off, taking the steering column out, that you would have had to take the shaft off the brake cylinder. That just would have been a real pain in the butt. So, you know, 30 minutes worth of work, $150 to $200 part, and we now have working adjustable pedals again. Not a bad deal. So a couple words of note as you're putting this putting the cable and the retainer back on the drive for that for the brake side. This comes from the factory adjusted almost all the way back, so make sure that your gas pedal travel is all the way back. You know, hold the button down to move the pedals back until it goes all the way back. It'll give a little pop as it hits the back of the travel, and then move it forward just a smidge, and that'll be in the right place. And then also, as you're moving it, once you get it back in place, and you put your cable drive on this side, go ahead and slide that cable drive down in, and then run your adjuster forward a little bit. That'll help you line up that the cable, the drive down into the gear, and then once that's done, that retainer clip will slide on there real easily. So if you just try and stab that cable down in there, you know, down into this retainer, trying to get that retainer on there, you may not get it lined up perfectly, but again, just press your electronic adjusting switch, and that cable will line itself up and slide down in there really easily. Don't waste a lot of time trying to stab it in, and get it just right to get that retainer on. Once it is lined up, that retainer snaps on real easily.